Good evening, everyone, and everyone else listening to us from other places. We are excited to be back. This is Salem Media or from Salem Consultants. My name is Anne Karambu Mwangi. I'm a counseling psychologist with Salem Consultants. And this is our psychoeducation platform where we talk about our mental wellness and just being able to understand how can I be able to become a better person. So we've had 2 sessions and we were able to define what is mental illness. We were able to also define mental disorders. And then the other session, we talked about how can I be able to take care of that person who has mental illness. And we also, I remember last time we also talked about how can I also be able to take care of myself as I am taking care of this person that is mentally ill. So today will be more of an question and answer session where we will be answering a few questions concerning this topic. And we will answer questions on those two topics. That is, what is mental illness, what is mental disorder, and also we'll be answering the question mental illness. And of course, how will I be able to take care of that person who I am with and is mentally ill? To take us through that today, I want us to just maybe introduce what this is. What is this psychoeducation and what are we intending to achieve? One of the things that we intend to achieve with this conversation is to become a better person. How can I be able to be a better version of me? How can I be able to live a more fulfilling life? How can I be able to become better than I am today? And how can I be able to increase my mental wellness? And also, how can I be able to help the people around me? Sometimes we have people who have mental health illnesses or challenges, and we don't know what to do. We take them to the wrong places. Sometimes we will think of taking them for prayer, or taking them to, we even go all the way to some witch doctors or some person who said that they can pray for them or they can give them something that can work for them. And of course, at the end of the day, that person has not received the intervention they needed. So the purpose of our conversation is more on that. Allow me to just pause a little bit and then I'll be back. So I said one of course, of the reason as to why we are having this conversation, one, it's for ourselves, those of us who are listening. The other one is how can I be able to support each other? The other thing is to become a better version of me. So we know very well our mental wellness is key to our physical wellness, to our spiritual wellness, and even to our social networks. We'll be able to relate with people better when we know who we are, or when even we understand our mental status better. So this conversation that we have on this platform every Tuesday is meant to, one, cause awareness. We will become aware. We will know how to support that person who has mental illness, but it will also make me a better person as I interact with other people. So basically, this is the reason for these conversations. And today, now we will be answering questions. We can receive questions, of course, even online. We will be able to receive a few questions that had already come. And we can also listen to questions or people who are with us live here on Zoom. So allow me to, because of time, I can see like our time has really gone. We can just get into the questions directly, and our conversation will be around mental illness and understanding how can I be able to support that person who is unwell. So welcome, Amy, with the few questions that had already come, and then we'll be able to continue.
Good evening, Madam K. We really appreciate this time that you're taking to take us through what it takes to just be a mentally well individual and how to take care of ourselves and also to take care of others. And maybe we can just answer a few questions that had already come in, and just to let the people who are watching know. In case you have any other questions, feel free to send them our way, whether you're watching on Facebook or wherever, and we shall be able to get to your questions as well. So one of the people wrote in and said, why do we need to take care of our mental health or invest in it by doing therapy? And is mental health a fancy way of describing madness? We have started on the deep end.
The first part of the question, of course, why do I need to take care of my mental health with therapy or seeking support from someone else? It is because sometimes the state I'm at emotionally, I may not really even be able to explain. I remember like a case I was dealing with. Someone says that I have episodes of sadness. I cannot even know exactly where it comes from. And it's genuine. You try to probe and to get to understand the person. They have never identified where the moments of sadness come from. But because, of course, a therapist is trained to be able to reach deeper, and they know what the questions to ask and how to ask them. In the process, within, I think, our 30-minute conversation, it's like already we had pinpointed where the sad moments come from, and the person was like, wow, I'm so happy to just understand this. So sometimes you will need that support of a therapist, not because you are really sick, but because there are emotional answers that you may not be able to get to understand. And sometimes also because emotional pain has a way of okay, when we go through painful experiences, they become our normal. When we go through painful experiences, they become our normal. So when you're talking to a therapist is able to tell you that, no, that is not normal. That is not how things are supposed to be. Sometimes it may be trauma that you've gone through for a long time. And for you, it has become so much part of you that it has been normalized, and it almost sounds like that is the way of life. So by listening to this person who is an expert, they will be able to guide and tell you that, no, this is not normal. Or maybe it is an emotion you have kept for a long time, and almost you have formed it and you've made it your personality. There are people who say they are generally, what is that word people use? They are hot-tempered. And hot-tempered is being angry and rude. That is not normal. It is a negative emotion I have accumulated for a long time. And because I have done it so many times, and sometimes it runs back to even when I was a child, I think that is my personality. So a negative emotion that I have already identified and named myself with it, a therapist will be able to bring out that out and tell you, no, this is not this is, of course, this is not a normal. So it's something that needs to be addressed. So this is how the therapist comes in. A therapist can also come in a healthy person. A person who completely does not have any mental illness, but maybe they are having some emotional disturbance, or maybe they don't even understand who they are, they don't know themselves. The therapist comes in as a support system to be able to identify who you are better, or even to become more productive as a person. And part of what we are doing here is that, because we may really not say that we are treating mental illness on this platform, what we are doing is creating awareness. And that is where, of course, a therapist comes in. Mental illness, madness, as there is sickness is sickness. The same way we don't make fun of diabetes, cancer, hypertension. When we hear someone has hypertension, we don't make fun of them. We support them, and we don't give other pseudo names to it. So mental illness is sickness, like every other sickness. So if someone is depressed, that is sickness, it is not madness. I know we are coming from a place where mental illness has been looked as being crazy. It is unfortunate. It is because of, we are coming from a place of ignorance. So, and just like the Bible says that in times of ignorance, it was overlooked. Even God overlooked our years of ignorance. So those of us who are on these platforms and are constantly hearing these conversations cannot afford to call people who are mentally ill mad.
Wow. You said even in the time of ignorance, it was overlooked. So if you're on this platform, please, you cannot afford to call anybody mad. You are being sent out to become a mental wellness and mental awareness ambassador. Thank you, Madam K, for that. That was such a profound answer. I have a question here. I have grown up knowing and believing that men cannot be affected by mental issues or emotional ones, though I struggle so much to remain strong and ignore my feelings. I also feel ashamed sending this. How can I get help?
Uh, that very statement is a stereotype. It is it's a cultural, social statement that has been formed over the years. It is not true because men have emotions and feelings. So the fact that I am a man does not mean I will not get angry at one point. The fact that I am a man does not mean that I will not feel sad at one point in my life. I will. So the question is, I need also to be empowered on how to deal with my emotions and feelings. There is no shame to a man talking about their emotional health. There is no shame to a man talking about their mental illness. I know, of course, there's a lot of backlash sometimes online, and it is happening a lot in our time. When a man shares maybe what they are going through, and sometimes, of course, some have gone to the extent of even ending their life because they feel like they are less of a man by just sharing what they are going through. So it is good to first of all demystify that lie, which is a societal lie. It is a stereotype. It is a wrong statement. It is even wrong to by any means to even tell that to our children, because what we are doing to our boy child is that we are telling them it is weak to feel hurt. It is weak to be angry, or it is weak to express your emotions. I will say that is wrong, but we can also become advocates, of course, of allowing men to be men and be human beings, because every human being has emotions. Every human being has painful feelings. You can go through an environment, a situation that can be hurtful, and yes, you can be affected by mental health illnesses or mental illnesses, and anybody is a victim, regardless of their gender.
Wow. Speaking of shame, and somebody here wrote in a very I think a serious question, and they said, I recently lost my boyfriend to a road accident, and I found myself losing touch with reality when the emotions got too heavy. Some told me I was pretending, others said I was overreacting, and others told me how I was how I was acting was not normal. Is there a way we should grieve? And was mine wrong?
Uh, again, grief is an area, it's a very gray area. I feel like maybe where the criticism was coming from, it's because we are mentioning this person as a boyfriend. But this is a person who was close to us. So loss is loss. The shame and the questioning of how they are feeling according to those people might be because to them they don't really think that this was a close person to this particular one. So maybe they are questioning how this person is feeling because according to them, they think that person should not feel that way. But you cannot dictate how I will feel about any loss because it is an emotion. We grieve differently. I believe we'll be able to have a conversation on loss and grief. We grieve differently on different losses that we get. Sometimes you can even, as a family, you can lose a parent. But how child A and child B grieves that person is different because how they related with that person is different. So there may be the questioning of how this person is grieving. It's because the other person who is doing it thinks that it is not logical to cry after the loss of a boyfriend, just a boyfriend. And of course, it means the how we trivialize sometimes things. And somebody may be thinking, we will always have another. You know, that feeling of, why are you feeling? Why are you feeling that way? You can always get another one. But loss is loss. So you are justified to feel, to grieve to the end, go through the grief, get support, of course, while grieving. Avoid these negative people who are talking to you like that, because what they mean is that they are trivializing your feelings, which is not right. It might prolong the grieving period because now it will mean you cannot express how you feel because you don't want to be judged. And those of us who are very quick to tell others how they should grieve, kindly, if you have nothing to share, kindly just shut up.
Yeah, I think that is very important because that goes back even to the question before about the men and how they are not able to express. And then here, someone else is being told how to grieve, how to feel. I think as a society, we may really be losing touch with what is going on in mental wellness for other people. So, just like you told us last time, we really need to be considerate and sensitive while handling people who are either mentally ill or are supporting somebody who is mentally ill. Right. Speaking of support, Madam K, someone said to us, my wife and I have two kids, one of whom was diagnosed with schizophrenia. I often think that we must have offended God somehow, and we've been asked to pay many offerings and seeds, but it doesn't seem to be working. What does this really mean? And I think we can tie it with another question here that asks, is it possible to trace back the source of a mental illness or disorder?
Those questions are not the same. Allow me
Okay,
to answer them separately. So
sure.
this particular one, the first one, of course, allow me first to explain an African mind. An African mind, because of where we are coming from. We are coming from a highly spiritual background where everything is connected to some form of spirituality. There is something that happened to this. And when I say spiritual, I don't mean godly.
Mm.
So because of where we are coming from, almost every single society in Africa had some form of witchcraft, had a form of seers. We had some form of someone who would be consulting the gods on our behalf. So this is the environment we are coming from as Africans. And because of this, when we were coming from there, the gods, those gods in quotes, would explain every single reason why everything happens. When it didn't rain, they had answers for it. When someone got sick, they had an answer for the same. When someone, even when a child was born, maybe with a disability, there was an answer to the same. And because of mixing our demonic spirituality to how we worship the true God, we also think that God from our spirituality, the way that God behaves is the way our true God also behaves. God does not punish us for evil. If God was really punishing us for evil, he would not have sent his son to die for us. If there is a place he needed to punish us well, it is on the area of salvation. So the same God who can send his son to die on the cross for us cannot be the same one that is bringing illnesses and sicknesses. So first of all, that is not God. If there is anyone who is telling you offer sacrifices so that your child can be healed or you can appease some God, it is not the Heavenly Father you are appeasing. It must be either you are appeasing your God, who is not the Heavenly Father, or you are feeding this human being who has stood in the place of God. And the God I mean is not the Heavenly Father.
Mm-hmm.
So remember, there is no greater sacrifice that we can place on top of what Christ has done. And we even see in scripture where the disciples are coming and they're asking, why was this child born blind? And they are trying to bring this same African mindset of what did their parents, is there anything the parents did that has caused this one to suffer? And Jesus is clarifying there is nothing that was done either by this child or the parents for this child to be born like this. And of course, he's saying that it is to glorify God. For that particular case, Jesus is talking about to glorify God because, of course, that particular person was a miracle happened and they were able to see. So there is no disability or illness or sickness that is brought by God as a punishment. I really need that to be very clear, because if there are people, especially even in our nation today, if there are people who are highly exploited, it is people who have painful experiences, have gone through trauma, have sick persons in their home, have a painful experience they are going through. Allow me to call them cartels. There are these cartels that have taken the place of God, and they have decided to take advantage of pain, people's pain, to their profit. I know I am saying this and I'm touching a nerve, but I will touch it. So people have taken advantage of the pain of others to their profit. And therefore you'll be told all manner of things. You have to bring this goat and the other goat and a goat that looks like this. And goats is money. God needs nothing from you to heal you. And whether I get healed or not does not change who God is. Because there is no greater healing that man has received than the healing from sin. Because the sickness of sin is what has separated man completely from God. So if he has given his son so that we are healed, which other greater healing is this that we can receive? So anyone who asks for money and they are not doctors who are treating you in the name of prayer, that is a con man or a con woman. You will be left frustrated because nothing is going to change. And you will also be left poor because they will take money away from you and nothing will change. You will make them rich. You will hate God, and it is not God who did it. It is a broker that has stood in the place purporting to be God or God's messenger. So if you need help, like now this child, they have a mental illness. Schizophrenia is a mental illness. Please go see a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist will be able to answer all the questions. The Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. Even patients who are schizophrenic, they can be able to live a life that is productive with medication, with proper medication. So seek help from the right place. If you've gone through an emotional pain that is prolonged, get a therapist. Go through therapy. You may require to pay very little money, maybe like 1,000, 2,000 per session, or those ones who charge 5. But it is very little money that is going to restore your dignity. But if you go to a broker, just like people have lost money while buying land from brokers, that is the same way you will lose both your mental wellness and your money.
Yikes. Hey, you have touched several sensitive topics there, but we appreciate the candor and how you are just able to articulate and bring it to such a situation where people can actually take it in. Just like people have lost money to brokers while buying land, is the same way you can actually lose your money while trusting people to quote unquote restore your mental wellness. Wow. So maybe Madam K, you can answer the question that followed that one. Is it possible to trace back the source of a mental illness or disorder?
The source of mental illness can be traced, especially through a therapist or a psychiatrist. That is a illness that is associated to emotional pain. Or just like, of course, the doctor will give you possible causes of a certain illness. It is the same way we are able to get possible causes of certain mental health illnesses, but it can only be done by a professional.
Please, guys, if you get nothing else from this particular discussion, make sure you are dealing with professionals only. And even when you're dealing with people in the house of God, make sure that these are people who are serving the one true God in heaven and not people who are brokers posing to be people who can give you what you supposedly need. So, Madam K, here there's another question. I was recently diagnosed with substance addiction, but my mom really worries about me and I worry about her, which sometimes gets me back to drinking. How can I ease her burden even as I prioritize my healing? Hmm.
Let's begin that person. Let's begin with therapy. People don't just drink. Alcohol is poison. Drugs are poison. So people don't just go and prescribe poison on themselves.
Hmm.
There is something that that person has lost. And most of occasions, those people have lost themselves. They have lost who they really are, their real essence. Either someone is struggling with lack of self-awareness, self-acceptance. Maybe someone was bullied at one point in their life, or they have lost their worth. Because for you to sit and drink alcohol that you 100% know is going to damage your liver, and you're calling that food, something is wrong. So let us answer the question why we are drinking. Please stop getting worried with your parent first. Worry about yourself. So the beginning point is answer the question, why are you taking poison? From there, don't deal with the alcohol so much or the substance that you are abusing. Answer the question, the why you are abusing. The reason as why many people don't heal from substance abuse is because we concentrate so much on how to stop drinking. Because drinking or using that substance is not the issue. It is the how and the why you started using it. Until you answer that question, that's why you see people moving from substance abuse, they get into sexual addiction. They have healed from uh, substance abuse, but they get into a substance abuse and to sexual abuse. And it almost gets into a cycle. It's like you're just rolling on that place. So until you've answered the question, why am I destroying my life? I feel like I want to repeat many times that alcohol and drugs are poison. So the question is, why are you consuming poison when you know it is poison? A normal person, a person who is sober cannot take poison. So until we answer that question, why, healing might be very difficult. So let us put this mother aside. The mother is not the problem here. The problem is the fact that you have not been able to answer the why you are using poison. And I believe the parent is also worried of the same. Why are you destroying your life? Amy, any other question? Okay, maybe before she gets back, allow me maybe to just mention a bit on, and I believe also consecutively as we continue, we'll be able to talk about drug and substance abuse. Uh, uh, Drug and substance abuse is such a lie, because it will come in as a way of dealing with emotional pain. But it is such a subtle thing. You know, it comes as almost a lie. So it is coming telling me that I will get fulfillment, or I'll get healing, or I'll be calm, I'll be able to sleep better But in the process, I'll lose money, I'll lose my health, I will lose relationships. If I'm in school, I will not be able to perform. I mean, there's so much I will lose in the process that you're left wondering, why did I even start this journey in the first place? So it's such a lie. Or it might also come as a lie telling you that you are having fun. And in the race or in the chase of fun, you chase fun, and before you know it, as you are chasing fun, you lose your life. And you try recovering your life, it becomes very difficult. So substance abuse is such a subtle, I mean, it's such a lie. But there is always something you're trying to heal with that substance. There is something that you're feeling like it is restoring uh, uh, when you use that particular substance. So I think it's the part of then again, self-awareness is key. Once we are more self-aware, we are able to trace back to where this began. But of course, sometimes you may not be able to do it, and that's why you need support, again, of a professional.
Wow. Interesting question. The next question that comes here is, what do I do when I know that I'm struggling with something considered as taboo or something shameful or dirty to even speak about out loud?
When you're struggling with something that you know is a taboo, get a counselor. Counselors are taught or trained to keep secrets. So don't talk to it about it to just anyone. Get a professional counselor. They are trained to keep secrets. Our top requirement is confidentiality. So, of course, you can be sure your information will be kept secure, and you'll be able to navigate through this habit to be able to know, is it really worth getting stuck in this place? And because an environment of a counselor is conducive to be able to open up, then you will have an opportunity to navigate through, how do I get out? How do I find help? Some of the things, some of the qualities of course, that we are supposed to acquire as counselors is being non-judgmental. That even when you come to a counselor, I am not supposed to judge you because you're doing, I may talk the way I am talking here because on some topics, but I will not judge you when you now come. Here I am talking the way I'm talking because I'm doing psychoeducation. I am teaching you the how, but when you come and now we are handling those nasty, dirty, dark areas, I am not supposed to judge you. We will begin from the place of being able to understand you and being able to allow you to be you, and then navigate through your journey of healing. But also, your information, of course, always is secure with a trained professional. Sometimes we go giving our information to wrong people. And that's why we are almost even fearing professionals, because we have shared information to the wrong people. These wrong people have exposed us, and we have added to the, you are having a challenge already. And then because your information has been shared everywhere, you start working with shame and guilt. And of course, this shame and guilt becomes another problem now you've added to your life. That's why I said, please, don't go to a broker. Just like people have lost land to brokers, and people have lost hard-earned money to brokers because they thought, and by the way, brokers, they talk nicely. And they assure you I mean, this is the best thing that has happened to you. And before you know it, you have lost your health, you have lost your money, and sometimes people have lost their life.
Wow. Once again, you're bringing us back to the point of making sure that you are dealing with professionals and you're not just giving your information to just anyone. Hmm. Funny that you should say that because the next one actually says, I am scared of seeing therapists and I feel judged by them. Are they all like that? I know you have said something about it, but maybe you can just say another for reassurance for that person.
It is important to really confirm whether you really saw one, because there are some people also who have given themselves titles of therapist
Mm,
and they are not.
yeah.
Uh, there are these people who call themselves coach. There are some people who have given themselves titles that really they are not. So it is also good to know whether this person who is calling themselves a therapist is a trained counselor. And a trained counselor is also even registered with a body of counselors. Those are some of the things that you can be able to use to verify whether this person is really a counselor, because it is very rare that you will find a truly trained counselor who has gone through all the ethical training, who will judge you. On most occasions, it is people who have given themselves titles. I know we are coming from a place, the place we are coming from as a nation. Counseling is not a topic that was really embraced well. So many people also didn't even train well. Somebody was going for a 3 months training, 1 month training, and they label themselves a counselor. A counselor who has a bachelor's degree will tell you they have been in school for 5 years. So there is no way somebody will go for training for 1 month and they become a counselor.
Yeah. It's important to find out who you're dealing with, and there is a body for
And maybe I
it.
can
Yeah.
say this also.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's good to work with referrals. If you really are not sure about who, work with a referral. I think at least work with someone who has good ratings.
Okay. I think that is really interesting to know that people may have been dealing with people they thought were qualified, but really they were just people who gave themselves titles, and you cannot compare someone who has gone through the training, the classes, everything for a number of years to someone who has done it for several weeks or several months. Definitely, the service will be different. Here there is a comment. I think this one is for you. They said, thank you for the things that you have taught us about taking care of ourselves as caregivers. Kindly let us know if there are any support groups as well. But thank you so much, all in all, for your great work and support.
Um, as I said, I may not really, when I was sharing this, I think I was able to also clarify that I may not currently, I may not know whether there are those support groups, but because we are also living during online time, we are living in the online space. You just need to click and you will find a number of them. The other day I was looking for something, and I thought it was very far. I just clicked on Google and it brought me so many options. So those people are there, I believe. They are there. So in line with the desire, maybe you're looking for the support group. Maybe there is one even next door. Just click. I want to believe they are there. but also again, even when you're getting to a support group, you don't want to get into a wrong group. So it's good to also go and do your due diligence as you're joining them.
All right. So, Madam K, I think the final question would be, if somebody wanted to come to see you as a therapist or to see somebody at Salem Consultants, where would they start?
We are available for therapy, both virtual and physical. Of course, if you're far away from our offices that are located along Kiabu Road, you can always book in for an online session. You can be able to find us well. All those details, you can find them on our website. That is www.salemconsultants.co.ke. You can also find us on our socials. Salem Consultants, all socials, you'll find us there. We'll be able to reply to you directly. And yes, and I said we have virtual and we have physical sessions available. But you can also find us here every Tuesday. You may not be in a position to find us, but you can find us here every Tuesday from 8:30 to 9:30. We will have an opportunity to have a conversation with you on this platform every Tuesday.
All right. Thank you so much, Madam K. We really appreciate you taking the time to take us through these particular topics and discussions. And we really look forward to the next particular discussion that we are going to be having. Do you have any idea what the next particular discussion will be on, so that we can just leave a bit of excitement with the people?
So that we are able to listen to the previous ones, I'll not
Yes.
give the topic for the next time. I want us to
Okay.
go back to our first and the second one, make sure we
Mhm.
clarify and we get to know exactly what we've been able to learn. I'll also give us an assignment of sharing with our friends and sharing it with people we know may be in need of this information. That is one way to know that you are ready for next week.
Okay. Thank you so much, Madam K. And thank you all our viewers for joining us. My name is Amy Jambi, a counseling psychologist as well. And we look forward to having you on our next session next Tuesday. Asanteni.
Thank you so much, Emmy, and thank you for the questions. I can see a few of us on Zoom. I don't know if there's anyone who would want to comment something or ask a question. We are ready for any comment or question, maybe before we close down. Anyone, you can unmute yourself and then we'll be able to, a comment, a question. I can see Gabriel, I can see Roderick, I can see she. Any that has a comment or a question? Okay,
Hi
thank you.
everyone.
Hi.
Yes, mine is just a comment to say that I'm really glad. It's my first time to have joined this, and it's been quite an interesting session. And as you had mentioned, at some point, especially for us men, it's not some of the easiest places that we find ourselves in. Yeah, but I'm grateful. And, I look
You're not
forward
very clear, Gabriel. I don't know whether you're able to
to
come
the
closer to your mic.
session. Sorry.
Yeah, I can hear you now, Gabriel.
Oh, okay. I'm saying it's been quite an interesting session. As you had mentioned, especially for us men, these are times when uh, we find it very rare for us to get into such places. And so I'm really looking forward maybe to the next session, and I'll also take up the task of inviting maybe someone else who could also be interested in having such a platform. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabriel, for joining, and thank you so much even for that comment. Kindly share with others, and thank you so much, of course, for the courage to just be able to follow this. I pray that it will be a tool that we can be able to use to help others. Anyone else who may want to say something before we close? Okay, if there's none, thank you. Thank you so much for joining. And we are looking forward to having all of you and others, those who are following us online. We are looking forward to have more conversations of this. You are free to also write to us and maybe request topics that you would require us to have a conversation on. Remember, this is better me, becoming better me, making sure that I become a better person emotionally, physically, and spiritually on Holistic Wellness Show. My name is Anne Karambu Mwangi, and thank you so much. Have a blessed night.